Kia ora, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm sitting here with my friend,
Mitch.
and we hope that you enjoy this episode. Mate, it's all on.
We're on.
It's all on, mate.
That's
Thank you
sick.
so much for coming in.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, man.
Yeah, I mean, when you messaged me and we were like talking about it and trying to get this all going, I was like, man, this is someone who lives and breathes what we see you doing on social media. Like, by the looks of things.
Yeah, 100%.
Like right now, you've literally got a nick over your eye.
Yeah. Took a cut yesterday at training, man. So
This is just training.
that's just training.
And you're getting
yeah.
like that physical.
Well, we have 2 days a week where we spar.
Yeah.
And our sparring is quite intense, especially when two of the fighters they come together and they want to go at it.
Right.
Like there's different levels to sparring, and when two fighters are kind of on the same journey, and especially with the full-time fighters, and like we want the best out of our rounds.
Right.
And we know how to push each other. So yeah, I took a bit of a slit yesterday to one of the bigger boys. I had him on a body lock around the back, and
Right.
he just turned in and clipped an elbow on the way and started bleeding. And we had another 2 minutes left in the round, man. So I was just bleeding over the cage and bleeding on him and like sweating, and he was just loving it. And
But that's normal. That's normal practice.
that's cool. Like that's sick. Like you know, that's real life scenario in the cage, and it's like it's better to experience that on a Saturday morning than a Saturday night when you are actually in there in front of everyone.
That's true, yeah. So you're prepping for all the worst possible scenarios. But like, so before we get into this, because people are probably going to listen to this and be like, what have I just jumped into? There's a guy in a cage. He's getting blood and sweat everywhere. So like with yours, because I've had fighters on before, but they're usually just like in one discipline. So I've had boxers on, I've had people in BJJ. But for you, like, where did you start, and how did you actually end up kind of in the combined area?
So this is quite a funny story. Like I started fighting when I was young,
Right.
really young, in a non-controlled environment.
Okay, right.
Which isn't good, but like yeah, me and the boys back in the day like kind of used to fight, and like if someone like wanted a fight, it was really weird. Like we used to organize
Right.
a fight and like kind of meet up at a park and like
So Fight Club style.
literally like that, man. Like, and it was just like looking back at it now, like it was crazy, just to think that was normal.
Yeah.
But like, you know, sometimes like the exchanges would be like over Facebook or something, and it would be like, yeah, like it's really stupid. We'd be like, yeah, like, you know, fuck you,
Yeah.
and I'm like, fuck you too. I'm like, we'll meet here then.
Yeah.
You won't show up.
Yeah.
Then you show up, and then like, and then you fight, man. And it's just like, yeah, like I said, like it was weird to look back at it now and think that was all good, because like
Right.
thinking about it when I've grown up and matured out, and I was like, that's fucked, man.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah.
crazy. Like as a kid.
And in an uncontrolled environment like that, like, were any of you actually, was anyone that you came across actually training for anything, or was this your training?
This was a training, yeah. Like we were just like we were meeting up, like man. Like there's been a couple times, like my first ever street fight was all over Facebook because I was defending my mate who got his hair cut, like he got a mullet,
Right.
and then some guy commented and he was just like, that's offensive, and I, like me being young and immature, being like, why is that offensive? And he
Right.
was just like, fuck you, man. I was like, oh well, fuck you too. And then like there was this beef for ages, and then one day my mate was walking around in South Dunedin and they bumped into each other, and then like he knew that he was my mate, so he tried to fight him, and they gave me a call. I was sitting at home. This was on a Sunday at about 5 o'clock. I was actually eating dinner with my family.
Yeah.
I think I was 15 years old, and I got a call from one of the boys, and the boys was like, bro, he's here. He just stepped out. What's his name? And I'm like, oh, what? Like,
Yeah.
and he was like, yeah, come down. Like, you got to fight him for everyone. And I was like eating dinner with my family.
yeah.
I was having a roast, and like I was like, fuck, like, how do I get out of this situation? Like, I can't just tell my mum and dad, like, I'm rolling to the rugby field, a Pirates rugby field, to go have a fight.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, mum, like, I've got to go. She's like, where the fuck are you going? Like, it's fucking, you're halfway through your roast, mate. And I was just like, oh, one of the boys he's just having some problems, eh? Like, you know, I got to go see him. She's like, oh, good. So like, I put down my dinner, and then like, I went outside, and I was like, fuck, like I'm fucking nervous. I don't know what I'm doing here. And it was about a K walk that I had to walk by myself, and then like, so I went into the garage and I was like, fuck, do I need a weapon? And I was like, no, what are you thinking about? Like, just walk there. So I walked there by myself, and I was like, I don't even know what I was getting into. And I was just like, because I was like, fuck, like, you know, I guess like the boys have summoned me.
Yeah.
Like they're expecting big things. And I walked there, and I finally got there, and I like walked like into the rugby field, and like there was just this mosh of boys and people there, and it was like, bro, it was like I was doing a WWE entrance. They were like, yeah, there he is, like fucking there he is. And I'm walking, I'm like, here I am, I'm here, I'm here to go. And then we walk in, and then there's the guy standing there, and he's about 19.
Yeah.
Like a few years older than me, he's a bit bigger than me as well, and I'm like, fuck, I guess this is it. Like, I may be getting peeled out in front of all the boys here.
Yeah.
And long story short, like we had a fight, and I managed to kind of get the win, and like it wasn't just like a scrappy fight. I kind of like wrestled him and like kind of used this really average like kind of sort of martial arts, like took him to the ground, gave him a bit of ground and pound, like took him up top, and then the boys were videoing it and shit, and they were like, yeah. And I walked away and I was just like, fuck, like that was mean. Like, and then ever since then, like I always loved the physicality of it, and then like being able to transition that into a safe environment and learning all the codes like under professional trainers, literally just gave me the kick. Like it was absolutely everything, eh?
It's unreal. So before that, like, why was it you that was summoned? Like, have you had like a pretty good track record leading up to that, or what was it about you as the person? Like, we need him here.
Well, like they just know I'm a bit of a dog, like so. Like they were just like, we'll get him to do it, like because I'm a sucker for peer pressure as well. So like they knew that I wouldn't have said no.
Okay.
But then it was me who like stood up for the mate on Facebook who got the mullet. So like. They were like, yeah, well, you have to do it.
Yeah. And now from there, like, how do you actually think about transitioning? Because, I mean, it's one thing to just be like, yeah, I'm doing it. You don't actually have to be told what to do, to actually having the discipline to go and, like, seek trainers, seek people who can properly take you through it. How did that process happen?
Well, there's this fight called the Bucket List that Team Hammerhead run every year. Right. So, basically, average Joes who work Monday to Friday, get the opportunity to step into the cage after 10 weeks of training.
Right.
Which is sick, which is so cool. And one day I just thought, because like I played rugby all my life, and like was a big, like massive on footy. Yeah. Played for First 15, played Premier Rugby. Yeah. And then it was just like, I trained so much that I thought like, an individual sport needed to be me, because I thought like I was for the grind, and an individual sport for martial arts is like, that's you.
For sure.
And, so I signed up for the Bucket List, just rocked up there and was like, yeah, man, like, I'm just keen for a fight. Yeah. Like, and they were like, yeah, sweet. Like, we'll G up for it. Yeah. And, so I did a 10-week training camp, with Hammerhead, and met some amazing people. And, so they do like a split block, like 4 weeks, you like do the training, and then they'll like see if you're like fit for it. Okay, like see if you're actually like, because they don't want to send you in there and like you actually like you're not fit to be in there.
Yeah.
So and then after the 4 weeks, they match you up with a Bucket List do it from Central Otago.
Yep.
So I was lucky enough to get a match up from there after 4 weeks, and then after that 4 weeks, you have 6 weeks to prepare for your fight.
Okay.
Which was super cool. I was training with some amazing people, just some people who work Monday to Friday, average jobs, like they were just in it for the same reason. And after that 6 weeks, they have the event at the Egger Centre, so everyone just comes together and scraps. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to be the main event of the Bucket List, which was cool, which really gave me like a lot of energy. And then ended up like getting all the boys to come, and then they came and watched me. And from that moment there, from when I competed, like it was just like, this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. Like it was just something that kind of enlightened me and like made me feel like I never ever want this feeling to go away.
That's awesome.
And I managed to get the win there. I managed to get unanimous decision. So I beat him through all 3 rounds, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And the feeling of getting my arm raised after that fight was probably like, when you wake up in the morning and you're real tired and you have a coffee? Yeah. Like that time.
Yeah, right. That's
like that times 100, bro.
Right.
And then, the feeling with that was amazing. And then, like it was just like, I stopped training for a bit for the rest of the year after that. And then like, kind of just was like, I thought I was the man because I had a fight. Right. And then like, my friends were just like, man, you got to do this. Like, you should keep doing this.
Yeah.
So after that year, like I kind of like realized what I was doing with my life, and was like, I was actually working as a plasterer, a tradie at the time, working 40 hours a week. And I just decided that I was going to quit my job
Right.
and start training full time.
So this is still your full-time thing?
Well, I work part time as a youth worker.
Okay, awesome.
But do this full time. Like I'd work 2 days a week, 3
Yeah.
days a week, just enough to pay for my petrol and food.
But most of it is putting into your grind for the sport.
Into the gym, yeah.
That's unreal, man.
Like in the mornings and the afternoons, and like when we're in camp, it's just like we're training 3 times a day.
Yep.
And it's just like all those trainings and like everything that I've done from then has just built me like as a person. It's made me a better person.
Yep,
Like,
that's awesome, and that's stuff that we'll get into, and I think the youth worker stuff probably comes into a bit as well. But for you, like, why has it always been MMA, like mixed martial arts, or were there kind of disciplines that you would push yourself towards?
yeah, like it has been, but like I used to be a bit of a douchebag as a kid.
Okay.
Like, and I felt like the discipline from martial arts kind of humbled me a lot.
Yeah.
Like to the point where like after my first fight, you know, when you walk around, you're like, man, I had my first fight, and then like I started training after that, and I was training with the big boys who fought and stuff like that, and I like walked into the gym and got my ass handed to me every day. Every single day, like to the point where I was like, fuck, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm getting beaten and beaten and beaten, and then it was just a great resemblance to show that like if you turn up every day and you're passionate about something, that you will get better and better. If you just put the time, put the commitment into it. And me just seeing that kind of realized that like martial arts is a lot more than just fighting.
Absolutely.
Like it makes you a better person, makes you humble, it kind of respects like all the great morals, and that's what kind of turned me into me now. And I'm so grateful for that, and so grateful for my training partners punching me in the face all the time.
So you're talking about this reflection, and you are looking back, like this is you kind of at the peak, for now of where you are in terms of like your ability, even like your physicality, your strength, all that sort of stuff. Now thinking back to the young you and how like, you know, back then you will say you probably couldn't fight as well. Hopefully you got better.
Yeah,
but now that you can fight, like, what's the difference in temperament? Because like it's easy for people to think, oh, now he knows how to fight, he'll go fight everyone. Yeah. But like that change in temperament, like for you, how do you visualize that?
Like it's like when you've been training Monday to Friday, and kind of like putting all the work in the gym and stuff like that, and like you kind of know what you're capable of, which is cool. And like getting the best training out of everyone. Like my coach, Brogan Anderson, like he is just like, he's not human, right? Like he's not human. Like just the stuff that he's put me through with all this training and stuff like that has kind of like built me into the strongest person I could ever be, because like walking into the cage is like the hardest thing you'll ever do. For sure. Like making that walk, like it's easy until your music comes on.
Right.
And like, cause it's mean, like you get to pick your music and shit, and like you think it's all sunshine and rainbows until you like actually walk out. And like you get your Vaseline in your eyes, and then like you stare at there's a person waiting in there to beat you up. Yeah. And like I've got my grandma over there, I've got my mum over there, and it's just like I can't get humiliated into them. But back to the question, it's just like, when I did start gym training, I just used to like lift heaps of weights and stuff, and like kind of just take heaps of pre-workout and just be real buff, and like I thought I was tough. Yeah. To the point where I started training with people who are actually tough. Yeah. And then I wasn't tough. I definitely wasn't tough after that. But just showing great consistency and showing up every day, like. You don't realize you're getting better or tougher until the points where you're like at the end of a camp. Yeah. And like you've done all of this grind and all of this work, and you just like take a backward step and just think about like, not an average person does this. For sure. So like you kind of just realize like what you're capable of. Like you can throw punches faster than a normal person and stuff like that. So it's like, it's great. And it's cool to learn all of this stuff now to kind of hand it down to the younger generations. Absolutely. Like this is a conversation I have with Steve all the time, where he's like, he could pretty much choke out anyone, most people. Yep. But like
he's so aggressive when he's in the area that he needs to train, and you're probably the same. Where like you go in and you're just two different people. Like you've got the caged version of yourself, and you're just like because you're zen. You're like you've let it all out, and then you go to training or you go into the cage, and like that's just a new you. How did you like find that kind of tipping point between being the two different people that you needed to be?
Well, like it's kind of like when you train so much,
right?
Like the last thing you want to do is just like get into that zone.
Sure, right.
Because like basically we train so much that like we're always in that zone. So like when we're out of that zone, it's just like, man, like I'm mellow now.
Right. Yeah.
It's sick to be like this. Like and like it's made me such a calm person. Like out. Like I don't like confrontation. Like I don't like to argue. Like it's just changed my persona really, and just made me like really super mellow, like overly mellow sometimes. Like I don't really care about much. Like it's cool. It's cool not like kind of having any cares in the world and stuff like that. But then like when you do make that transition, it's like holy fuck.
Absolutely.
Like, oh, I'm a fucking monster. Like you know, you want to fight. Like you have to change like who you are. I don't know. It's like you got two different personalities.
Yeah.
One personality is like, you know, just this chill dude that like just likes to hang out and stuff, and then you got this like one guy that just likes to like beat people up in a controlled environment.
Absolutely. Because I think about that a lot. Like, I mean, you have to get to that point, otherwise you got someone else who is getting to that point faster than you are, and you got to protect yourself. Like, this is now you. Like, if you don't get to that point, it's not like, oh, I'm just going to go there and something won't go my way. You're actually going to get beaten up. Taken up. Yeah.
If you show up with the wrong attitude and like you show up and like you don't show up to fight, you learn the hard way.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, even at training, like, you know, if you show up to training just feeling like, you know, you're just going to breeze it out today.
Yeah.
The boys will humiliate you, and then like that's when you feel like, you know, you have to rock up to training every day on point. You got to be good. You got to make sure your food intake's good. You got to make sure everything's right. You're drinking a lot of water, because like every training is like crucial.
Yeah,
everything's just super crucial. So, and as long as you're doing all of that very accurately and like consistently and stuff like that, then like the mentality of like going into a fight and like bringing the fight and like being able to change your way of like, you know, being able to get in there and fight, like it's easy.
Yeah,
it's easy. But like we train so hard out there that like the fight is easy,
right?
Which is good.
So you take it beyond where you probably would be in a fight.
Oh yeah, like some of our trainings are brutal like to the point where like just makes you sick. Like sometimes when I drive out there, like I get anxiety.
Right.
Because I'm like, I don't want to be here. And like, I got to drive the motorway as well, so it's like even a lengthier drive.
Time to think about
some
it.
More to think about it, and it's just like, fuck. And then, but you finish the training, man, you feel like $1 million. And like, those hard ones definitely make for the fight easy. So that's what I've found, like, the way that we operate things in the gym do make the way to the fight easy.
For sure. No, that's unreal. And I think, so one thing, because like I had it with, you know, you see people who do some sort of martial art, you see people who hunt, like there's the classic photos, like you're all sweaty, you're together taking that photo together. It's similar to like a grip and grin with your kill or whatever. You're bloody everywhere. People who only see this from a social media standpoint and actually don't understand fight or just don't understand martial arts in general. Like how, so even explaining to your parents or explaining to a lot of your friends or new people you meet, when they're just like, oh, like that's stupid. Because you're going to get it a lot.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
It's going to be like, that's such a stupid thing to do. But like from people who understand anything of like complexity, movement, anything like that, you're just like, you appreciate the art for what it is. But other people are just like that's stupid. Why would I do that?
Sweetie guys rubbing on each other.
Yeah. So like for you, like I mean, obviously you don't care about that sort of stuff because you love it so much. But if you were like trying to, you know, get more people involved in the sport, which I think the likes of like having UFC available a bit more, people are seeing it more. But on your side, like where do you think that comes in?
Well, like it's just I feel like a lot of people don't really get the way that it works. Like I think they just get like, oh, these guys are just beating each other up and like getting real sweaty about it. But like we have a lot of people just turn up to the gym and like after like 6 months, like their life has just changed. For
sure.
Just because like it's so therapeutic. Like even like if they, like a lot of people will come to the gym but they don't want to fight, which is like perfectly fine because we run public classes and they'll just do jiu-jitsu and like jiu-jitsu is like it's hard to explain, man. Like it's just it's great. Like you can just like once you get the concept of it and like because it's something that you can't just do. it's something that you kind of have to learn like the micro skills of it, and like learn the gist of it, and like learn how people do it, and like because some people roll aggressively and some people don't, and once you like have a few micro skills up your belt, once you like get into rolling, it's just like it's unreal. Like, you know, you just lose all focus. Like, you might have some stuff going on outside the gym, and like that you just lose it completely.
Exactly.
And like some guy trying to choke you out, you're rolling, you're transitioning, like you're flowing, and it's just like it's just beautiful.
Yeah,
like it's just beautiful. And Stephen would second that probably more than I would, because like because he loves his jiu-jitsu, and his jiu-jitsu game's strong, man. Like he's a killer on the mats, and like just the way that you feel after a roll, and like the respect you have for someone, like I don't know, like it's a beautiful thing.
For sure.
It's a beautiful thing. So like I couldn't more strongly recommend it to someone who's kind of lost out there and like wants a hobby or like wants to do something, because it's not like, you know, you don't get beaten up and stuff like that. You there's a limit and stuff like that. And like there's some of the nicest guys out in jiu-jitsu. Like some overly nice guys, like especially Steven. Like Steven's like the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Exactly.
And then you roll with him, man, he'll choke you out 10 times in 1 minute.
Yeah.
And it's just like shit.
Yeah.
Like fuck, he's a killer.
Yeah.
But he's lovely.
Yeah, I think it's something to do with like you talked about therapy and like therapeutic through like violence.
Yeah,
but like,
which is fuck.
I think that's a weird concept. Like, we don't think about it. We think like therapeutic is like I'll sit down, listen to some waterfall music, and just like be totally zen. But really, because you're actually properly in sync with your body, because you have to think about where your body is in space. You have to like problem solve a lot of the time. And I know for a lot of men, like testosterone kind of is linked with problem solving, and you're always problem solving because you're dealing with a complex something in front of you who you're like, okay, it's not just going to be ABC or 1, 2, 3. It's like if they move this way, I have to readjust, and like I have to know what I'm doing with my body to counter that. And that's stuff that you would have gone through, like the puzzle piece for you, right? Yeah,
like it's like how I explain it is like playing a physical game of chess.
Ah, right, yeah.
So like you got to make this move, he makes this move, and then like you make this move, and then like fuck, he makes this good move, and then like you got to counter it with this, and then like, you know, a few bad moves, then like you get put under adversity, and then like they're in a dominant position and they're leading the charge, and then like that's just stuff that you've got to think about, and like it's all like a learning curve in case like you don't want to go back into that position. So like you learn from that, but then again, like the problem solving is just like you just go back and forth to the point where like you're in trouble, and then like, oh shit, like you know, I'm about to get choked out
for sure.
And it's just like, it's not like a problem solving where it's just like, oh damn, I got it wrong. It's just like, oh damn, I'm fucking in this chokehold.
Exactly.
I'm like, he's gonna put me out. I'm gonna tap. Like it's just like, it's great. Like it's good, and it gets you thinking under pressure as well. Which is mean. So it's not just like, it's not just brain numbing. It's actually just like, you know, you're kind of getting a lot of benefits from it.
For sure. Yeah, because I always think about like, I mean, when people stress out about different things, the easiest thing to do is like take yourself away. But if you're not putting yourself under pressure or something where you like literally cannot think about those other things, this is the only thing you can think about, or else I'm gonna see the stars. Like this is what you need to do. And you were talking about adversity before, and something I think about is that people don't understand the level that you're going to get to. Like they just think you go there, you get sweaty, you smack each other a little bit, but the adversity is like the pressure, the positions that you're going to put yourself into where you're feeling like, can I even get out of this? Like that's something that I think ties quite nicely into like mental health, because a lot of people are thinking, I can't get out of this.
100%.
And for you, so when you actually get in those positions, like it's kind of like you can't, well, it's like fighting fire with fire, or like bringing calm to that fire. So for you, when you get put in those positions of like, shit, is this actually going to happen? Am I going to be fine? What are the processes that you go through to get out of that?
Well, I had a bit of a stitch up last year up in Auckland when I competed up in a show up there. That had been the first time in my career that I had been put under adversity.
Right.
I was fighting up in Auckland, up in the show, and I was feeling really good that day. It was probably the best I've ever felt before a fight. We flew up to Auckland on the day. Jetstar cancelled our flights the night prior. Fuck, don't fly with Jetstar.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't fly with Jetstar. Air New Zealand all the way. And we flew up there, went to the hotel, like feeling great, man. I was competing with my training partner, good friend, Case of Murdoch, and he's absolute killer. So like we planned out the day, like we were training. We had Brogan up there with us, mentoring us up there, and rocked up to the venue. Everything was all sweet. We were all good to go, and then Casey competed, got the win, won a title, and then it was my turn. I was warming up at the back, and Casey was competing in front of me, so I only had one person warming me up,
Right,
and it was my best friend who was up there coming to support me, Bryce, and so my corner, Brogan, and my other coach, Matt Toa, went out there and cornered Casey. And I had Bryce out there,
Right.
and like he was like holding up his hands, like he didn't even have any mitts,
Yeah.
and I was just like punching his hands, and he was just like, yeah, like he was just jamming me up, and I was like, fuck yeah, this is cool, man. Like this is my best mate warming me up with like one of my biggest fights,
Yeah.
And so that finished, and then we walked out, and it was a different scenario to what we're used to competing at the Eager Centre,
Right.
and it was the first time for me fighting away from home.
Yeah.
And usually when I'm fighting at home, I've got a lot of my friends and family there, and like all the support's like unreal. Everyone's going crazy, and I walked out in Auckland, like no one was cheering for me. I was like, fuck. I was like, no, this was mean, like, because it was kind of cool, because like I was like, man, I could just go out there and do my thing, and like just stick to my game plan, which is to take him down and ground and pound him, and like we got out there and touched gloves, and like we were striking, and I felt like I was like getting the better of him on the feet. And I went to like chuck this mad overhand, and then he fucking takes me down. And then I knew all of my friends and family were watching as well, and like I'm on the ground, and this is the first time I'm like, fuck, and like he took my back, and like sunk in his hooks and sunk in his arms and shit, and I was like, oh, there was a thought. I literally thought in that moment in time, it was like really crazy. I was just like, I'm going to lose this fight.
Right.
Like, I'm going to lose this fight. Like, fuck, man, I flew up here for nothing.
Right.
And there was just like, I don't know what it was, but like there was just something in my mind that just like kind of transitioned and flickered, and it was just like, nah, you're not losing this fight.
Yeah.
So I dug deep and grinded, and like ended up kind of maneuvering out of the chokehold, turning in, and then he lost the chokehold, which was mean. And like that was the first time in my entire life where I had like gone to this different level and dug myself out of it, and then the round ended, and then we went to the second round, and I ended up choking him out and put him to sleep. So
real.
That moment in my life was just like was crazy. Like it literally like built me. Like I kind of leveled up that day, and kind of found out things about myself that I never knew, and never knew that I could have got myself out of a situation like that. So like now, like when like common shit happens on the street, like it's just like, oh fuck, easy, easy.
That's unreal, man. Yeah, see, because that's the character building stuff that no one thinks about. Everyone always thinks about like, oh, he lost, he won, and then like, but it's actually like how you deal with those things. Because winning is one thing, but like winning and then having the discipline to go back to the gym to get better. Losing is one thing, but then losing and then bringing yourself back in to be like, okay, that was one fight, I lost. I need to come back and do, and that's with anything in life, right? You don't, something doesn't go your way. Do we just give up and just like, oh no, I'm a shit person, I don't have to do that, or do we give like see, okay, we had these kind of things go wrong, but this is what I can do better next time. And that's what you get every day by challenging yourself in this way, right? Yeah.
Well, like it's kind of different with us though, because like it's like man or mouse situation, like. But like in MMA, like you can lose in like horrific ways.
Yeah, for sure.
And
yeah, that's true.
It's hard to bounce back from that. Like I could imagine like some people get knocked out clean and like put to sleep, and it's just like how do you do that, get back to the gym and want to get back in there and compete again after you've just been like brutally knocked out.
For sure.
And like I think that's like a stepping stone in people's life where it's just like, if you can come back from a loss, come back from, because it's not just a loss. It's not like losing on that night. Like it's for like, I could imagine like it's for weeks.
That's
like,
true.
You're just like, you're doubting yourself. You're like, is this sport really for me? Like I just lost like in front of my friends and family. Like it's just like, but then like, I guess it's like, it changes you completely if you can dig deep and go like, I don't know, like it's different in this sport, because like, you know, when like rugby, like you lose and it's just like, oh yeah, forwards played shit.
Exactly. Yeah.
Forwards played shit. Like I was all good. Like I made like some breaks and shit. Probably dotted, like scored and stuff. Like I played mean. And in there you can't like you can't blame it on anyone but yourself, because like it's an individual sport. So like I think bouncing back from a loss and coming back and like you don't even need to win. Like just getting back in there and like putting yourself under that pressure again. Like I think that's just huge character building.
Yeah.
Like if you can do that, I don't think there's like many things in life that you can't really do.
For sure.
Especially if you take a bad hour or even even just an hour in general.
Yeah.
And like you're just hungry enough to get back out there and want to redeem yourself and get that next win.
Yeah. And then now thinking about, so, I mean, there's huge exposure, there's huge growth in the sport as a whole.
Yep.
Like of people maybe just spectating, like not necessarily people coming into the sport and wanting to be a part of it, which like anyone who's an avid enthusiast of anything, when you find out more people are getting involved, you love it.
Yep.
Right? But now we have more people who are involved and now more people have opinions on different things. So for yourself and just seeing that more people are visualizing it with social media, like have you found any of that has changed fighting or the passion for fighting, or has it not really made an influence at all?
Well, like there's a lot of like, because MMA is the fastest growing sport in the world
Absolutely.
at the moment.
Yeah.
So like everyone's just got like, especially like Izzy, like Brad Riddell, like all of those boys like making waves as making like the public eye, like look at them, like people who are not even like watch rugby. Oh, I mean not what MMA, like they're all just like interested. Like if they see like a Kiwi doing well, and you get your news watchers and like, oh, who's that? Yeah, and then they're like, oh, what does he do? And then like, I think those are the boys that are getting the sport like the name that it deserves. And then like now everyone kind of watches it. Like I get people who I wouldn't even expect to even know what it is.
For sure.
Come up to me and it's like, oh man, like you're doing MMA, like that's so cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah. And they're like, yeah, like Conor McGregor. I was like, are you going to fight Conor McGregor one day? I was like, no. I am nowhere near Conor McGregor's level. They're like, oh, like, but like, you know, some people don't get the main like perspective of it, but like, it's cool to see everyone kind of acknowledging it and like getting all the acknowledgement it deserves.
For sure.
Because like it's a hard sport, especially like to dedicate yourself all the time, because when you're training and stuff like that and like you miss a session at like, and especially if you're in camp, you're like, fuck, I missed that session, and the guy I'm fighting probably didn't.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck. But back to it, like, yeah, like it's amazing to get all that support and all the people kind of recognize you and like kind of give you the respect that you need, and like that respect kind of drives you as well, because like, you know, if all these people are watching you, you're like, man, like this is cool, I'm getting some support, and like especially over social media, because like, yeah, people just love it. Like I get people kind of following me on Instagram who just want to see what I do and want to see me fight. Like some people want to see me lose, like some people want to see me win, but like it's cool that people are part of the journey.
Yeah, far out, man. It must be pretty cool, because I was, man, if I think about, you know, if you were to watch footage from maybe like UFC 10, like the and then to see where it is now, like in terms of the span of time, it's not a really long time, but like the level of people in there and actually like how things are moving, you're like, what the hell? This whole sport is evolving. Like it's not just what is getting covered over the world, it's actually like how people are fighting as well. And people are understanding the game a little bit more, so you're part of like that transition as well, which is pretty cool. And
I'm just like extremely lucky enough to like get all that wisdom from people who have like been in the game for so long, especially when the game wasn't as elite as it is now.
For sure.
And like getting all the people that have been through that, who are up that hierarchy now, who are like handing down their knowledge to me or to the younger generation. And it's just like, man, like we're getting all these like main skill sets, like all of this awesome training that maybe they didn't get back in the day because it just wasn't there.
Yeah, right.
Because like sometimes, like, you know, like UFC 10 stuff, like it was just rock up and scrap. Like, you know, like people were disciplined to like one martial arts.
For sure.
But now there's people who are disciplined in every aspect of martial arts. So like getting the training from them is just like super grateful super grateful that these people have like been through everything and now they're at the top, and now they're handing down their knowledge to us to make us better fighters. And like it's a lot more entertaining when someone is like can cover like all aspects of martial arts. And like then there's two people who are doing it and there's two people competing against each other, and it's just entertaining for the crowd, like to see like, I know it's like a video game, man. Like kicks, punches, takes them down, gets them up, and like it's cool, man. Just like super grateful for the people who are up there and putting all their time and effort into it. For sure. I mean, you watch it now; it's way more dynamic, and that's probably why so many people can watch it now. Is because we have such a high skill level that it looks cool now. It's not just like, whoa, that's brutal. It's like, whoa, shit, how does his body do that? What? 100%. Yeah,
it's so cool. Now, something that people don't really think about. So we were talking about, two people go in, they're going there to smash each other, but like you're still two humans, and there must be an element of respect because you're both like when you hear about martial arts, there's people who just like they respect the game, but you also respect everyone who's part of it. Right? There's going to be some assholes for sure, and there's going to be people who don't play the game nicely, all that sort of stuff. Where does your level of respect, like how do you channel that between the person that you are in there against someone versus as soon as you step out of the cage and then it's that same person? Yeah.
Well, I like on my first fight, I kind of like I took the wrong approach. I was like, yeah, nah, fuck you, man. Like, we're going here, like, and then kind of like seen like all the good aspects of martial arts and like how it makes you a good person. And then on my on my second fight, I did the same thing as well. Like when we did the stare down, I was just like looking at him real angrily. I remember my coach was just like, bro, calm down. Like, it's like, this is like, so you got to be calm here. And then it took me to my third fight where it was just like, when I met the guy, I was just like, what's up, brother? Like, fucking good luck to you tomorrow night and stuff like that. So like, it took me a couple fights to realize that like the sport is a gentleman's sport.
For sure, yeah.
And then he was the same thing, and like he was all good about it. And then the next day it's obviously like, yeah, no, we're not like boys now.
Yeah.
And then when you finish the fight, like as soon as that bell goes or you get the finish or everything like that, man, the first thing you do is shake his hand and be like, fuck, man. Like you just punch each other in the face and then you say, fuck, I love you, man. Like you just like you're hugging each other, you're sweaty and stuff like that. Like when I got this cut yesterday, it cut me, and then like we finished the round and we're both sweaty and it's just like, fuck, I'm grateful for you, man. I love you so much. You make me such a better person.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's crazy to go from like one side to the next of like hating someone, or not hating them, but like, having to physically abuse them and punch them in the face and get that win. And then to the next moment going like, man, like that was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it goes back to like when you're in training camp and you're digging so deep and like putting yourself through all of that. And then like knowing that he did it as well, and you're meeting each other, and at the end of the night, like you guys came through the same journey
for sure.
So you have to respect that because like he was doing what you did, and he might have won or you might have won, but at the same time, like it's just like, we did this together, and we put on a good show for the people.
Yeah, and then so with that as well, it's like you channel this like anger towards someone, but like there's got to be something. I reckon. I don't know if it's an innate thing, like people just have it in them, or it's a learnt thing. But do you remember the first time maybe like you hit someone so hard that you dazed them, and then that feeling that it gave you? Like, were you okay with it, or was it kind of just like, holy shit?
It was mean.
Okay,
yeah, because like you like not at training. Like when you hit, like you might. I'm bad for like sometimes not pulling shots.
Yeah.
And like hitting someone and be like, oh fuck, sorry man, sorry.
Yeah.
And then like that's the guy that's making you a better fighter.
Right.
So like, you're like, fuck, sorry. And then like sometimes you're like, fuck, don't say sorry.
Yeah.
Bang, they come back straight at you. But like when you hit someone in the cage and it's just like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And then because you hear the crowd like, ooh, and you're like, fuck yeah. Like I want to hit him again. Like, and you release those endorphins like when you do, I don't know, it's like, it's a weird feeling, man. It's just like, a really weird feeling.
Yeah.
When you punch someone and inflict damage on them in a controlled environment. Yeah. When the referee's there.
Yeah.
And when you're doing what you are trained to do.
Yeah.
And like it's all like landing and pulling off. Like it's a great feeling. Especially like dazing someone because they look at you, they're like, fuck, you got me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, fuck, I got you.
Yeah.
And then, but then again, like you get hit, and then like you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And then they vice versa, they get the adrenaline and stuff like that. So yeah, like it's back and forth action, and like when you're that much into it, like I guess hitting someone is like an amazing feeling
for sure. And then in terms of like your entire life, like putting training into it. So we'll get into your job like shortly, but just like what does typical days look like? So say you're going to train or with training, with eating, with sleeping, all that stuff. Because like when people talk about sport and when people talk about like the high level, no one like when people say they're dedicated versus like someone who's dedicated their life. So I'm dedicated to the gym, but then there's someone who's like, I've dedicated my life to this. Yeah,
like as a lifestyle.
Yeah, for sure. So like for you, what does that look like?
So Mondays will be training in the morning. And then we'll do a gym session, and then every evening it's 4:45 till 7:30 at night.
Yep.
So that's a full day of training. And then that'll be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That'll be Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
Depending on the availability, because I got to work sometimes. Like I'm not at that level where I'm getting paid for this yet. So like I've got to get a job to just put the food on the table for me and get my petrol out there, and then I'll just leave all the training. So, and then Saturdays we'll do, if we're in camp, we'll double train again. And then so like it's a full 6 day week, and we'll probably like 20 training sessions in a week, like. And then we have Sunday off. We always have Sunday off, and then like sometimes if there's a big card, like our team will come together and watch the UFC on a Sunday, and like have some team bonding stuff. But like our team culture out there is like amazing. Like we're like a family, like which is awesome. So like when you are having those tough sessions and like coming out there when you're feeling exhausted, like those people out in the gym will pick you up, and you'll always walk away from the gym feeling satisfied, and grateful for the people that are there as well. But yeah, man, like the trainings are just like, fuck. Yeah, that's why like sometimes when I'm working, I'm like, oh yes, like working is like a holiday because the training's so hectic. But I try to work 2-3 days a week, and I try to fit when I work into the trainings where I don't need, or like I always need it, but like when they're a bit laid back, so I can always kind of take on the intense sessions.
And it's working with, so like as a youth worker, someone who, so like I feel like maybe years ago having someone who was like into combat sport as a youth worker would be like frowned upon because no one really understood it. It'd just be like,
I got tattoos and stuff, man.
This
like
guy beats people up and he's covered.
Looks
What the
after
heck?
kids.
But now you're like, I personally feel like you're almost the best role model because you're someone who, I mean, for a lot of youth, it's having some sort of person who can show that you can be both ends of the spectrum in terms of like super aggressive, but then bringing that down and being calm as well. Not just someone who's like middle of the road all the time, because we have swings and we have ebbs and flows in our days. Like, do you feel like you're like a good candidate, for that sort of thing?
Yeah, like I do, because like I go to work and it's just like, it's kind of cool, like taking the edge off training, and like, cause like our sport's so like focused on yourself. And then like you go to work and like I have a job where I can, like when I have to focus on other people. And like when you're like a couple of weeks out from a fight, or like when you've got like so much going on, and like it's cool to go to work and focus on someone else's needs and what someone else wants, and like you can kind of tell them what you're doing, and then they respect it, like they love it, and it's kind of cool to try pass on, you know, a bit of you to them. You know, sometimes it might not get through, but like as long as you're turning up and like trying to be the best version of yourself and trying to just hand it down, like not trying to tell them that you need to be like me, but it's just like, you can do this, like if you are angry, you can control it like this and transition it into that. And just trying to be the best person you can, like for our youth, which is great.
That's awesome, man. And this is an idea that I always bring back, and some people go against me and say that they don't think it's right and all that sort of stuff, but what I feel, and that's why I think I had to get back into playing rugby or something where I'm actually like exerting myself again in a physical manner, is I think we still have like parts of ourselves that have that primal instinct to like let aggression out, and I feel like it's the healthiest thing for us, because if we have a controlled area where we can let it out and like we're allowed to and it's safe, then we're not going to go do it anywhere else. I don't know if you find that when you were like training more, or if you like see it in other people.
Like it kind of goes to like, well, like we train so hard that like you don't want anything to do like out of the gym, because like I said, like you know what you're capable of, and like we just train so hard that like you can't really express any more out than you need to. No, I think that the respect that you end up having for other people as well is weird, because you're so like comfortable with yourself, and you know what like you said, you know what you're capable of. And I think a lot of people have never really sat with their capabilities as a person overall. But you guys do that every time you go into the gym, so like it's all sorted. Man, that's unreal. Just thinking about yourself and where you're hoping to go. So like, there's obviously now that we're seeing it, that more people are kind of in that early 30s range. Like you've got a long time that you're able to dedicate yourself to this. For yourself, what do you have lined up for the next, like maybe just looking at this year? Well, I wanna at least compete another 4 times this year, because I'm 23.
So, damn, you got ages, mate.
Yeah, man. So I've got a while. So like I wanna finish off my amateur career. I'm currently on a 5-fight winning streak at the moment, so it'd be really nice to get another 4 in, another 5 in, and then there's these junior amateur IMAFs, which is basically like the junior amateur Olympics for fighting, which is in Bahrain,
Right.
which just happened recently. And a Kiwi from Christchurch actually took it out.
Unreal.
Which is cool. And I want to go do that, and then see off my amateur career there, and then kind of when my coaches and my mentors are ready to tell me that I'm ready for that next level. Whenever, because like they're my mentors, so they know. They've been in the game for years, like veterans to the game, and they know everything. So like when they think that my skill set's ready to go out there and compete at a professional level, then like I can't wait for that to happen. Like that's what I want to do with my life. Like, I wake up every day feeling like that's like I got that vision of that's where I want to be. So, and I've got the best guidance, like I feel like, in the world, like. And as soon as they give me that all clears that your skill set's good enough to go out there and compete with the highest level, then that's what I strive to be and thrive off, which I can't wait, man.
That's so cool. And now, so like something that we didn't even touch on, but we probably should, is that you are getting coached through a lot of the stuff.
Yep.
Yourself as a learner, having to go in there. So like you could be as good as you are, you could go as long as you are, but yourself going in as the learner, how do you take that mentality into it? Because like you're going to get direction, you're going to get told you're wrong times.
Yep.
How do you gracefully take that in and then try to apply it?
Well, I'm a slow learner, man. Okay. And like my teammates will vouch for that as well. Like, it takes me a while. Like sometimes it takes me a while to get like these movements and like all of the stuff, and like to the point where like my coach is quite hard on me.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like he'll call me out. Like, you know, if I'm fucking up the move 4 or 5 times, he'll be like, fuck, come on. What are you fucking doing? And I'm like sweating here, and I'm like, fuck, like I don't want to let him down.
Yeah.
Like, I've got to get this right. And the way that I'm coached is like, it's hard.
Yeah.
Like I show up every day, and like I'm just like, I'm the nail.
Right.
I'm the nail, and my coaches are the hammer, and they're just fucking hammering me down all the time. And like, I found like that's like some people don't like to learn like that. Some people are like, oh no, like this is too much. Like we get trained to the point where like sometimes you feel like you're mentally gonna break.
Right.
Where it's just like you get the movement wrong 5 or 6 times, and then like they're like, you know, fuck, come on, like, and I'm just like, I'm just gonna break down here.
Right.
I'm just going to cry right in front of them. They're just like, nah, don't do that, because fuck, that would be the worst thing you can do. But, yeah, like, but you got to go into it, and like, you've just got to picture yourself being a sponge, and you just got to absorb all the information that you're getting given, and because all the information that we're getting given is like awesome.
For sure.
Because like everything that I have been taught, I have transitioned into the cage, and that has been able to get my success.
For sure.
So yeah, like every time I go in there, it's soak up as much knowledge as you can, try to get everything right. If you don't get it right, it's all good. There's always tomorrow. And I'm just lucky enough that my coaches are extremely patient, and I feel like they see a lot of potential in me. So
yeah,
as long as I'm turning up every day,
I
might not be getting it right, but yeah, it's hard sometimes to walk through those gym doors every day.
Yeah.
Just knowing that it's going to be a tough day.
Right.
Like even if it's just like mellow drilling.
Yeah.
Like you want to get it perfect for your coach and for yourself as well. And if you're getting it perfect, like there's no better feeling.
Yeah. See, this is the stuff like anyone who's just watching the sport just doesn't even think about. Like the hours that you put in to actually like what actually is shown in the cage.
Yep.
Oh man, you can't even put a number to it, but the amount that you're going to be training just for the short amount of time is like, that's where you learn everything, and that's where you get that self-control, that's where you get the discipline, but that's where you get the ability to actually pull off these complex movements.
Yep.
But people only see the stuff that's in the cage.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like, that's the shit thing, because like everyone wants to be like involved with the results and like you get the win and stuff like that, and like I think that's why like you and your training partners and like your team members are so tight, because like they see you, like we turn up to, you know, some hard sessions together that like the people don't see. They only get to see the big stage and the people fighting in there. But like, yeah, like I'm not someone who cries. Like I don't cry at all.
Yeah.
But like I've gotten to the point where I've just burst out in tears, to the point where the coach is like, "Are you crying?" I was like, nah, I'm not crying. I'm fucking good. Next rep. But yeah, like it is cool. Like having that strong team bond, because I feel like if you didn't, like, you wouldn't get as much success if you didn't have those people who were grinding in there day in and day out with you. Like there's not just like one of us or two of us. There's actually like there's 10 of us.
Yeah.
That train like like fucking madmen.
Yeah.
And it's sweet, and like those are the people that like you've got your friends and family there who like want to like have a couple of beers with you after your fight and stuff like, because like you don't drink for 8 weeks, like you're clean for 10 weeks, you're eating clean, you're focusing on yourself, focusing on your weight, you're focusing on the person who wants to beat you up, and the only people who know that feeling is the people that you're doing it with. So like it's cool like having that team bond and like having that family around you. And it's really cool as well because like my mum is like super supportive of it.
That's cool. Yeah.
She loves it, like froths it. Like it's actually crazy, and like I'm lucky enough. Like I go home and like she has my meals prepped for me and stuff like that, and like she knows like everything that goes through it. So like I have the support from her as well.
Yeah.
Which is mean. And she knows the grind.
Yeah.
Like she knows how hard we work and stuff like that. So it's cool having like your teammates and your training partners respect as well as your mom.
For sure. Yeah, because you don't feel like you have to hide anything. Like you can just be like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
You know what it is, and then like you don't have to like sugarcoat anything because they understand the deal.
Yeah.
Man, that's cool. Now there's 2 more questions. So you're talking about camp, and now in terms of like making weight, because this is always something that I've been interested in, and since like even going through my degree, making weight has been one of these like really contentious sort of things.
Yeah.
Do you kind of usually sit around the weight that you compete in, or do you do one of those crazy?
I do crazy weight cuts, bro. Yeah, this is a cool question as well. I like to touch on this because like I hold a bit of muscle, so for me it's like quite good to weight cut,
Right.
but at the same time like it fucking sucks.
Yeah.
To the point where like I walk around about 80 kgs, 79 kgs,
Yep.
and I fight at 70.
Right.
Shit. Yeah, man. So like usually we have to like diet. Start dieting hard. Like I love my food as well. And like as a dude, and like when you're training 3 times a day, you need to eat heaps.
Yeah.
And when we have to like minimize our calories and like carbs and all of that and all our energy intake, it's fucked. You see stars and shit. Like it's hard to operate in life. So I will diet 4 weeks out, maybe like have a cheat meal once a week, and then on that last week, like that's when it starts to get brutal.
Right.
I start water loading on the Sunday, maybe do like 20 litres of water, 25 litres of water until the Tuesday night, maybe Wednesday morning, and then we'll do 500 mils of water on the Wednesday, no water on the Thursday, and then we weigh in on Friday night.
Oh.
And bro, like to the point where on my two weigh-ins ago, I couldn't stand up.
Shit.
Yeah, the bro had to like pick me up from the couch. Like I was fucking shredded though. So like you looked mean, but and then I packed food. I had buns in my bag onto the weigh-in, and I was just so I was dizzy, man. Like dehydrated. Walked in, weighed in, looked like a skeleton, and as soon as I weighed in, it was just like. It was like the best feeling in the world. Like it was just like, cause like I hadn't like I wasn't being able to eat freely for like 4 weeks, 5 weeks, and being able just to have that feeling of like having your life back, like having your like you can eat anything you want now. Like having all of that taken away from you is like such an unreal feeling, but like so accomplishing. Like when I stepped off the scales, like straight into the buns, like eating my buns, and eating heaps of food, like on that way, and I ate stupidly as well. Like I started eating lollies, like, and you're not supposed to do this.
Right.
You're supposed to eat like your, your body's a temple, so you're supposed to treat it right. And I was like cake and shit, and I was like, fuck. I was laying there on the Friday night with like my belly out, and I was just like, fuck, I'm full. Like this is like, I shouldn't be feeling like this. I've just dieted for 4 or 5 weeks, and like now I'm feeling like this. And then I weighed myself the day after when I was like warming up on the day of the fight, and I put on 8 kgs overnight.
Holy
8 kgs. Like, how does your body even do that?
Yeah.
Fuck, but it does. Yeah. But it's not good.
Yeah.
It's not the best for it. But like. Yeah, it's that's just a part of the sport.
Exactly.
And you know, some people go through gnarly weight cuts and stuff like that. But like the more seasoned you become to it, the better it's going to be and the easier it's going to be. And
for sure.
Like now these days, like we have like dietitians that like cater to fighters.
Yeah.
And like make life a lot easier.
Yeah. I mean that's the thing with the exposure to the fight game now is that we have people who can start to actually do work towards like specifically for the sport.
Yeah.
Which is cool, man. Like. Everything's extreme though, because like compared to what people regularly do when they go to the gym. nothing's going to be as extreme as preparing to get beat up.
Yep.
Like, so even the way that you guys diet, even the way that you guys do everything, like, you have to be a particular type of person to, like, consider yourself this sort of fighter.
Yep.
So, like, I mean, it's almost like, what's next?
Yeah.
Yeah, for you guys.
Yeah, man, like, there's literally there's probably nothing like
Yeah.
that can overcome that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's what's cool, like getting into the mindset of like depleting yourself and you have to fight in front of everyone. It's just like, some people just like, you fucked. Like, why do you enjoy that? Like, why do you like that? And it's just like, I like that because it's like a test.
Yeah.
Like, I can test who I am.
Yeah,
like,
that's cool.
To the point where it's just like, I'm like depleting myself so much where it's just like, fuck this guy, man. He's making me miss out on all this food. Like, you know. So like, yeah, you play mind games with yourself, and like, you know, sometimes you break down, and like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like those last week or last 2 weeks, it's just like, why am I doing this? Like, why didn't I just go play soccer? Why didn't I just go do something easy? And then like, yeah, when you've accomplished that, and like if you're lucky enough to get the win and stuff like that, like it's just like, oh fuck, like it's just like having sex, bro. Like it's fucking crazy, man. Like the feeling is just like fucking awesome, man.
Yeah. Man, that's awesome. And now, so there are badges of honor that you can get over time, and I saw it just before you put the headsets on.
Yep.
But it's also like, so it's any neck where you're going to be getting blood and like a black eye, a shiner and stuff. You're like, yeah, I'm a fighter.
Yep.
But now you've got the permanent.
Got the collies, bro.
Got the cauliflower ears.
Yeah.
All right. So how does one get those? But then also, what's the treatment for that? Because like, what does it actually feel like to have it?
Oh, bro, probably like the worst experience I've ever had, eh?
Yeah.
Because I was going through camp when I started getting them, and then because like it's basically to do with wrestling and jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And I love to wrestle as well, so like I do a lot of wrestling and a lot of jiu-jitsu. And like they just start like, it'll just be one day.
Yeah.
You'll just start getting like this lump, and then it will just be like it's like a rash, bro. And then like you keep going, and like I was in camp as well, so I had no time to stop.
Yeah.
And like we kept going until the point where like my ears were balloons, and my coach had to drain them every day, every single day. Went in there, got the syringe, put it in, blood out, like it was like the whole syringe as well, and it was like mean. Put a cloth around my head to try like taper them back.
Yeah.
And rocked up to the session next day, trained. Got them ballooned back up again, drained them out. I went to hospital 3-4 times in that camp, and it was I got surgery on one of them, and like they drained it out, and I was awake as well. Drained it out, and then they like what they did to like fold it back, because they weren't folding back, like they were always just like sticking out.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck, man, like I do not want to look like, bro. I've just changed it. I'm like ugly as cunt now. But they got 2 coins. They got 2 50-cent coins, and like put one at the back, one at the front, and then like taped my head like real tight after like they had like cut my ear open. And then like I had left it in for like 48 hours, and I took it off, and like my ear was still fucked, but like it was like taken back, so it was actually like back to my head now.
Yeah.
Which was mean, so it wasn't like out here.
Yeah.
Which was super cool, but like, yeah, like you said, like they're kind of like a badge of like showing that you're working hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think they're quite cool.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're hard. Like I've got no feeling in them, but yeah, like when I did get cauliflower ears, I think I went through it really horrifically.
Right.
Just because like we were in camp as well, so
Right.
like we couldn't.
The timing for you.
We couldn't
was
afford
a
to take a day off, so
for
like
sure.
I just had to keep getting them rubbed, and like I used to wear headgear.
Yeah.
During training and stuff like that. So like I think in that camp I probably got them drained over 20 times. So like yeah, 20 needles like going into my ear and draining them out, and yeah, like it was just like it was horrific, eh?
Yeah.
But like it kind of made the fight easier. Like
sure.
if I could go every day with like fucking my ears like that, then like, you know, what's a punch to the face what's the punch in the face gonna do? And like fuck, man, like some of the syringes with the blood, like it was like that long, man, like just filled with blood, eh? And like, you know, they're quite hard out in the gym, so it's just like, you know, drain it out.
Right.
Fuck it, like we're back tomorrow, like same shit, and it's just like, I'd compare it to your ears being like sunburnt,
Right.
Like the worst sunburnt.
So that's the
like,
sort of feeling you
peeling, bro. Yeah, like it was just terrible way, like just because like you couldn't rest them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that kind of makes me proud that I had went through all of that just to get them.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like, oh, they just happen over time. And
Yeah.
it's just like, nah, man, like I had surgery on this one. Like
Yeah.
to fucking do this one. So like, yeah, I had a pretty bad time with my ears.
Right.
But it was pretty funny though.
But you had to now, because those are the sorts of things, like you look for those and you like, as soon as you see them, you're like, oh, that guy's a fighter.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
And you just know right away. Because like a black eye, anyone could kind of get one, you know, walk into a door, all that sort of stuff. But like the ears, if you're trying to manufacture them yourself, like you're going to be, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Like you have to earn those.
And they're conversation starters as well.
Yeah.
Like, especially like I had this one guy come up to me in town and he was just like, bro, do you fight like your ears? And I'm like, yeah. And he was just like, bro, Conor McGregor. And I'm like, oh, fuck, man. Just leave me alone. You know, I just came here for a good time. Like, fuck, I'm not here to talk about Conor McGregor. You know, because when it comes to fighting, it's like Conor McGregor. Like, you know?
Anytime.
So, yeah, but like, they are a good conversation started. But like, they're kind of like a sign of hard work. And like, you know, you're putting your head where kind of no one else wants to.
For sure.
Exactly like a rugby forward. Like, you know, they do all the hard work.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, like I'm kind of honoured to have them, and kind of lucky enough that they aren't as bad as, because like some people have some bad collies.
For sure, man. Like almost to the point where you're like, how do they even hear out of that? Because like the inside is everything, and like it's just the smallest little slit.
Yeah, man.
For sound to come out of. And now just one more thing. So before we get into the final one, it's just, you know, you talked about recovery, and so it's easy to put yourself through all the training because you're going there and people are watching you do your stuff.
Yep.
But then for you need to make sure that you're coming back tip-top every single time. Yep. What are some additional things that you do outside of the gym to make sure that your body stays like on peak?
I'm bad for this, eh? Like, like I kind of leave because like we're training so much. I leave training, it's just like, oh, I don't want to train anymore. But like just like basic stretching after training, nothing too bad. Like my coach, he does ice baths. After training. Yeah. And I just can't do them, man. I'm like, bro, I'll do anything, like fucking anything besides an ice bath.
Right.
But like I think for my next camp, I'll start to actually kind of treat my body a bit better and kind of start doing my ice baths after training every night.
Yeah.
Probably like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah.
I'll sack up. I'll do them. And just massage gun, and like we have a physio who has ties with the gym who looks after us as well, and she's she gets in there as well, and she's fucking good at what she does. So she looks after all the athletes out there. So yeah, I do need to take more cater to my recovery rather than just my training. But yeah, for everyone out there, like recovery is the best thing you can do.
For sure.
And I'm only going to be 23 for another fucking 6 months, and I'm only going to be in my 20s for another 7 years.
Yeah.
So when I'm 30 or 35, while I'm up there, I'll just be like, fuck, I should have fucking recovered.
I was just about to say that, man. Like 23, I remember I could bounce back from anything. Like I could do the most ruthless session and then just like be the next day, I'll be fine. Yeah. And I was like, oh, I don't need to do recovery. And then as soon as you get like either like your first bad injury or like you start getting that little bit of age, you wake up in the morning, you're like, what the hell? I got hit by a bus. Yeah. And then so now I'm doing everything that I can just to like stop that feeling from happening. Yeah. But yeah, so I think, well, if you're aware of it, you're more likely to do it. Because back when I was like 22, 23, I thought I was invincible. Yeah, man. I could like train all everything. I'm like, it doesn't affect me. Nah, and it's just like, yeah, I know there's going to become a point in time later on in my career where it's just like, fuck, I should have looked after myself way more than that. Yeah. And like I'm telling myself that now, but then I'll finish training sessions and I'll be like, I'm all good. Yeah. I'm going to be like this for the rest of my life. Yeah. That's so cool, man. So the final question that I ask everyone is just, what is something that you do every day or close to every day that helps you feel like you've optimized the day? Just be grateful for the people who are in my life. That's unreal. Like I wouldn't be anywhere in my life where I am today without the people who I surround myself with. Yeah. Especially my coach Brogan Anderson. He's like a big brother to me. He leads me into like the right direction. Like when I do the morning trainings, like, you know, just doing what he does and being a part of that and like being his student. Super grateful for my family, for my girlfriend. Like, yeah, like it's nice waking up every day knowing that I have the best support system that like I could ever have. And just like, yeah, I think, you know, you can't go anywhere in life without great people. Yep. And I think, like, you know, if you don't have good people in your life, then reach out and find them, because there's so much beautiful people out there. For sure. I think that's the key to getting further and getting successful in life, is
be surrounded by great people.
100%, man. 100%. And there's no better place to find it than like in a gym where people have the same values as you, but then also like your family and people who are close to you the whole time. So actually that kind of leads me to one more question because I'm interested in this. And like you said that your mum follows it, and now it's easy for people with you like you who are just, you know, you're all go-getters. You're just like, you can go 100% into different things, but it's easy to isolate yourself from other things. How did you maintain that social circle so that you still felt like you weren't like isolated in those moments?
So like is that like with like still having friends, like
or like just keeping your social circle, or like making sure that you're still being social,
making sure I'm still alive, because like you have to go to places, like, you know, you can't go out for dinner. You can't go see the boys and stuff like that because like we live in Dunedin. Like fuck, it's alcohol central. Like you know, if the boys hit you up, like more likely than not, like they want to get on the piss. And you just can't do that. But like always, like just keeping connected with your friends, like throughout the week, just like, you know, sup bro, like how are you? Like you all good? Like, you know, even just like checking up on them, because like, I think that means more than anything. And just even if it's just a quick conversation. But at the same time, it's like hard because like you want to hang out with your friends, or like, you know, you want to see them, but you just can't. But like I'm at the point now where like the boys know what I do. My friends and family, they all know what I do, and they know how hard I work. So like when I see, because they all come support me to fight, like I have an amazing support system, like to the point where like, man, like I had 150 people come watch me last time.
Unreal.
Which was fucking awesome, man. And like I see them after the fight, and like, you know, they just know. They know. So like I'm super grateful for them to have that vision and realize that, you know, how hard I'm actually working, and just like what my dreams and my ambitions are.
Mate, that's awesome. I think that's a really cool place to leave it. I mean, you know, when you get isolated, when you get to a point where you feel like you have to push, you know, you're still making sure that you're giving time to show, like, because you just said being grateful for everyone that's part of your life, but also to show that gratitude by reaching out to everyone. Mitch, it's been bloody unreal, mate.
Oh, bro,
it's been an awesome chat.
Thank you so much, man. I'm super grateful for being invited and being able to come chat with you, man.
I loved it so much, bro. Thank you so much. Bro. Take care of yourself, eh?
Legend, man. Thank you.